The alien ship drifted in the cold darkness of space. It had been floating here for 3 months now, far from any star or planet. The ship looked like a giant crystal that someone had carved into the shape of a vessel. Its surface was smooth and clear, but now it was dark. No lights blinked on its hull. No energy moved through its systems. Inside the ship, Captain Zathera felt her strength leaving her body. She was not like a human. Her body was made of living crystal that sang with soft music when she was healthy. But now her song was weak, and getting quieter each day. The harmonic patterns that flowed through her crystalline form were fading like a dying radio signal. Zathera stood in the center of the ship's main chamber. Around her, 11 other members of her crew sat in a circle. They were all Vellani beings, made of crystal, who had traveled between the stars for thousands of years. Their people were explorers and scientists, not warriors. They built ships to study the universe, not to fight wars. The chamber where they sat was beautiful, even in its dying state. The walls were covered with crystals that normally glowed with soft light and created music when the ship was working. These crystals were how the Vellani talked to each other. They would make sounds that traveled through the crystal walls, creating songs that carried meaning and emotion. But now the crystals were silent and dark. "Captain," said Kefmal, the ship's science officer. His voice was barely a whisper, like wind through broken glass. "The food makers stopped working this morning. We have maybe 10 days of stored nutrients left." Zathera nodded slowly. She had expected this news. Their ship, the Harmony's Edge, had been dying piece by piece ever since the accident. They had come to this system to study an ancient neutron star. The star was old and strange, spinning faster than any star should. The Vellani wanted to understand how it worked. That was their mistake. When they got close to the neutron star, something went wrong. The star's magnetic field was much stronger than they had measured from far away. The powerful magnetic waves hit their ship like a hammer hitting glass. The ship's engine, which worked by creating perfect harmonic vibrations, was torn apart by the magnetic storm. The engine room was now a twisted mess of broken crystals and silent machinery. Chief Engineer Velthera had tried for weeks to fix it, but the damage was too great. The harmonic resonance chamber, the heart of their ship, was completely destroyed. Without it, they could not create the energy patterns needed to move between stars. "How long since our last message?" Zathera asked. 97 days, replied Communications Officer Nethana. "The distress beacon is still sending, but it is very weak now. The backup power crystals are almost empty." Zathera closed her eyes and felt the ship around her. Once, the Harmony's Edge had been alive with music and light. The walls would sing with the voices of her crew. The crystals would glow with the colors of their emotions. Now, it was like being inside a tomb. The Vellani were a peaceful people. They had no weapons on their ships because they had never needed them. For 10,000 years, they had explored the galaxy, always finding ways to avoid conflict. They studied stars and planets, made maps of space, and kept records of everything they found. But they had never learned how to fight or how to survive when their technology failed. "Captain," said Medical Officer Yathera, 3 more crew members are showing signs of crystal fatigue. Their harmonic patterns are becoming irregular. If we cannot restore power to the healing chambers soon, we will start losing people." Crystal fatigue was what happened when a Vellani could not get enough energy to maintain their crystalline body structure. Their bodies would slowly break down, becoming dull and lifeless. It was not a painful way to die, but it was final. Once the crystal matrix that formed their body broke apart, there was no way to fix it. Zathera looked at her crew. They had been the finest scientists and explorers on their home world. Kefmal had discovered 3 new types of stars. Velthara had designed engines that could cross the galaxy. Nethana could speak 17 different alien languages. But now, they were all dying slowly in the cold darkness of space. We knew the risks when we became explorers, Zethra said quietly. We have sent more knowledge back to our people than any single ship in 50 years. If this is where our journey ends, at least we have added to the great song of discovery. The crew began to sing then, a soft and sad harmony that spoke of acceptance and peace. It was the traditional song that Villani sang when they knew death was coming. The crystals in the walls picked up their voices and made them stronger, filling the chamber with beautiful music that seemed to make the darkness a little less cold. But even as they sang, the ship's computers continued their work. Deep in the ship's core, the emergency beacon kept sending its message into the void. The signal was weak and strange, unlike anything most species would recognize. It was a complex pattern of mathematical equations, star charts, and harmonic frequencies that told the story of their situation. The message repeated every 4 hours and 47 minutes. It had been repeating for 97 days now, growing weaker with each transmission. Soon, the backup power would fail completely, and even that small voice calling for help would be silenced forever. 3 light-years away, the human exploration ship USS Defiant was finishing a routine patrol mission. Lieutenant Commander Ben Carter sat at the communications station, monitoring the usual traffic of space. Commercial ships, military patrols, and research vessels all sent their signals through the void, creating a constant background noise that trained operators learned to filter. But today, something was different. Carter's instruments picked up a signal that did not match anything in the human databases. It was faint and strange, like music played on instruments that did not exist. The signal repeated in a complex pattern that seemed to have mathematical meaning. Carter called over his colleague, Communications Officer Lisa Morgan. She looked at the strange signal pattern and frowned. I have never seen anything like this, she said. It is not from any human ship, and it does not match any known alien communication methods. Could it be natural? Carter asked. Maybe some kind of space phenomenon. Morgan shook her head. No, look at the pattern. It is too regular, too complex. This is definitely artificial. Someone or something is trying to communicate. Carter made a decision that would change everything. He forwarded the signal to the ship's captain and marked it as a priority message. In his report, he wrote, Unknown, signal detected. Possible first contact situation. Recommend immediate investigation. On the bridge of the USS Defiant, Captain Jake Sullivan read Carter's report with growing interest. In his 20 years of space service, he had always hoped to be the first human to make contact with a new alien species. Now, that dream might be coming true. Sullivan looked at the signal pattern on his screen. The mathematics were beautiful and complex, clearly created by an intelligent mind. But there was something else in the pattern, something that made his experienced captain's instincts alert. The signal was getting weaker with each transmission. Whatever was sending it was running out of power. Set course for the signal's origin, Sullivan ordered. Maximum speed. And prepare the ship for possible first contact procedures. As the USS Defiant changed course and jumped to hyperspace, the Harmony's Edge continued its slow drift through the void. The Villani crew had finished their death song and returned to their individual meditations. They did not know that help was coming. They did not know that their mathematical plea for assistance had been heard by a species that specialized in the impossible. The silence of the void was about to be broken. The USS Defiant dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. Captain Jake Sullivan stood on the bridge, watching the main screen as sensors swept the area for the source of the mysterious signal. The crew was quiet, everyone focused on their instruments. Contact, announced Science Officer Dr. Carl Peterson. I have a ship on sensors, bearing 27 Mark IV. Distance approximately 50,000 kilometers. Sullivan moved to Peterson's station. What can you tell me about it? Peterson's fingers moved quickly over his controls. It is unlike anything in our databases, Captain. The ship appears to be made of some kind of crystalline material. It is roughly 800 meters long and has an organic design. I am reading minimal power signatures and no active propulsion. Any signs of life? Sullivan asked. Difficult to tell. The ship's hull appears to be interfering with our bioscanners, but I am detecting very weak energy patterns that could be life signs. Communications Officer Lisa Morgan looked up from her station. Captain, I am still receiving that signal, but it is much weaker now. The pattern is the same, but the power level has dropped by 30% since we first detected it. Sullivan nodded grimly. Whatever was on that ship was running out of time. Red alert. All senior staff to the bridge, and get me a full analysis of that signal pattern. Within minutes, the bridge was crowded with the ship's senior officers. Chief Engineer Amy Rodriguez studied the sensor readings of the alien ship. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Tony Clark reviewed the possible life sign data. Security Chief Kate Williams prepared her teams for any possibility. The signal is definitely a distress call, reported Dr. Maria Santos, the ship's language specialist. I have been working with the computer to decode the mathematical patterns. It contains star charts, what appears to be technical data about their ship's condition, and some kind of biological information. Biological information. Dr. Clark leaned forward with interest. Yes, the signal includes data about oxygen levels, temperature, and what might be nutritional requirements. If I am reading this correctly, whoever sent this message is slowly dying. Captain Sullivan made his decision. We are going to help them. Dr. Peterson, I want a full sensor sweep of that ship. Look for any possible dangers or threats. Rodriguez. Can our shuttles dock with that vessel? Rodriguez studied the sensor data. The ship has what looks like docking ports, but they are designed differently than ours. I can modify Shuttle Bay 2 to create a temporary airlock connection. How long? Sullivan asked. Give me 2 hours. You have 1 hour. Dr. Clark, prepare a full medical kit for unknown alien biology. Santos, keep working on that signal. I want to know everything it is telling us. As the crew prepared for first contact, Sullivan stood alone at the front of the bridge, looking at the alien ship on the screen. It was beautiful in a way that human ships never were, or human vessels were built with straight lines and sharp angles. This ship flowed like sculpture. Its crystal hull caught the light from the distant star and reflected it in rainbow patterns. Captain, Dr. Peterson called out, I am detecting some kind of visual display on the ship's hull. The crystal patterns are changing. Sullivan watched as the alien ship's surface began to shift and move. Lines of light appeared and disappeared, forming complex geometric patterns. Are they trying to communicate with us? It appears so, Peterson replied. The patterns seem to be responding to our presence. They started when we moved closer to their ship. Santos, are you getting this? Yes, Captain. The visual patterns match some of the mathematical sequences in their distress signal. I think they know we are here and are trying to establish communication. An hour later, Rodriguez reported that the shuttle modifications were complete. Sullivan selected his first contact team, himself, Dr. Peterson, Dr. Clark, and Security Chief Williams. They would take the shuttle Galileo and attempt to dock with the alien vessel. The shuttle bay was busy with activity as the team prepared for departure. Each member wore a full environmental suit with extra oxygen supplies. Dr. Clark carried a medical kit designed for treating unknown species. Dr. Peterson brought portable computers, loaded with mathematical and scientific databases. Security Chief Williams was armed but had orders to keep weapons concealed unless absolutely necessary. Remember, Sullivan told his team as they boarded the shuttle, we are here to help, not to conquer. These beings reached out for assistance, and we are going to provide it, but stay alert. We have no idea what we might find over there. The shuttle Galileo launched smoothly from the Defiance Bay. As they approached the alien ship, the vessel's hull began to glow brighter, The light patterns became more complex, almost like a welcoming display. "Their ship is beautiful," Dr. Peterson said, watching the display. "Look at how the crystal structure is organized. It is not just functional, it is art." Rodriguez's voice came over the radio from the Defiant. "Galileo, I am reading successful docking clamp engagement. You should have a secure connection." The shuttle's airlock opened with a soft hiss. Beyond it lay the alien ship's docking port, which had somehow adapted to match their shuttle's design. The walls of the corridor beyond were made of the same crystal material as the ship's hull, glowing with soft internal light. "Atmosphere is breathable," Dr. Clark reported, checking his instruments. "Oxygen levels are lower than Earth normal, but within acceptable limits. Temperature is cool, but comfortable." The team moved slowly through the alien ship's corridors. The walls seemed to pulse with gentle light, and there was a constant low humming sound that made their bones vibrate. The corridors were wider than human ships needed, with curved walls that seemed to flow like water. "The architecture is incredible," Dr. Peterson whispered. "These corridors were not built, they were grown. The entire ship appears to be one giant crystal structure." As they moved deeper into the ship, the humming sound grew louder and more complex. It was not just noise, it was music, but unlike any music humans had ever heard. The sounds had mathematical patterns that seemed to carry meaning. "Captain," Dr. Clark said quietly, "I think that sound is communication. The aliens might be talking to each other." They followed the sound through winding corridors that seemed to spiral toward the center of the ship. The walls were covered with beautiful patterns that shifted and changed as they walked. Sometimes the patterns seemed to respond to their presence, brightening when they came near. Finally, they reached a large chamber with a domed ceiling. The room was filled with crystalline formations that looked like musical instruments. In the center of the room, 12 figures sat in a circle. The aliens were unlike anything in human imagination. They stood about 7 feet tall and had roughly humanoid shapes, but their bodies were made of living crystal. Their skin was translucent and seemed to glow with internal light. Instead of hair, they had crystal formations that grew from their heads in beautiful, complex patterns. The aliens turned toward the humans as they entered the chamber. Their faces were recognizable as faces, with eyes and mouths, but they were carved from crystal rather than flesh. Their eyes glowed with soft light, and when they moved, their bodies made musical sounds. One of the aliens stood up slowly. She was clearly the leader, taller than the others, and with more complex crystal formations. She approached the humans carefully, her body creating a gentle melody with each step. "I think she is trying to communicate," Dr. Peterson said softly. The alien leader raised her hand and touched her chest, then pointed to the humans. She made a series of musical tones that seemed to be a greeting. Then she gestured around the chamber and made sadder sounds, clearly indicating that something was wrong. Dr. Clark stepped forward with his medical scanner. "May I?" he asked, showing the device to the alien leader. The alien watched with interest as Dr. Clark ran his scanner over her body. The readings were unlike anything in his medical databases, but he could see that her energy levels were dangerously low. "Captain," Dr. Clark said quietly, "these beings are dying. Their energy signatures are failing. Whatever powers their bodies is running out." The alien leader seemed to understand Dr. Clark's concern. She led them to another part of the chamber, where several aliens lay motionless. Their crystal bodies were dull and gray, their internal light almost gone. "Santos was right," Sullivan said. "They are slowly dying, and they sent that distress signal, hoping someone would help them." Dr. Peterson was examining the walls of the chamber, which were covered with complex crystal formations. "Captain, I think these crystals are their computers, their communication system, and their power source, all in one. But they are failing." The alien leader approached Dr. Peterson and began making musical sounds while pointing to the crystal formations. even without a common language. Her meaning was clear. The crystals were broken and needed to be fixed. Rodriguez Sullivan called over his communicator. "We need you over here. Bring a full engineering team. These people need our help, and we might be the only ones who can give it." As the humans worked to understand the alien technology, the alien leader watched them with growing hope. For the first time in months, the crystal formations in the chamber began to glow a little brighter. The harmony of her people's voices grew stronger as they realized that help had finally arrived. The silence of the void was being broken by the sound of cooperation between two species who had never met before. The humans had found the aliens just in time, but the real work was just beginning. They would need to learn to communicate, to understand each other's technology, and to work together to save the dying ship. But for the first time in months, the aliens had hope. The strange organic beings who had come from the stars were not conquerors or destroyers. They were helpers, and they had come just when all seemed lost. The first contact had been made, and it was the beginning of something that would change both species forever. Chief Engineer Amy Rodriguez arrived on the alien ship with her full engineering team. She carried portable power units, diagnostic equipment, and toolkits designed for emergency repairs. As soon as she entered the crystal chamber, she stopped and stared in amazement. "This is incredible," she whispered. "The entire ship is one massive crystal computer. I have never seen anything like it." The alien leader, who the humans had started calling Captain Crystal, approached Rodriguez. She began making musical sounds while touching different crystal formations around the chamber. Even without words, her message was clear. She was showing Rodriguez how the ship's systems worked. Dr. Peterson had been studying the aliens' communication method. "Captain, I think I am beginning to understand their language. They communicate through musical patterns, but the patterns carry mathematical information. Each tone represents a concept or number. Can you translate?" Sullivan asked. "Basic concepts. Yes. Watch this." Peterson approached Captain Crystal and made a series of tones that roughly translated to "We want to help you." Captain Crystal's eyes brightened, and she responded with a complex melody. Peterson listened carefully, then turned to Sullivan. "She says they are called the Villani. Their ship is called the Harmony's Edge. They have been stuck here for days after their engine was damaged by a magnetic storm." Dr. Clark was examining the unconscious aliens with his medical equipment. "Captain, these beings are fascinating. Their bodies are made of living crystal, but they have biological functions similar to humans. They need energy to survive, just like we need food." "What kind of energy?" Sullivan asked. "As far as I can tell, they absorb energy directly from their ship's power crystals. But the crystals are failing, so they are slowly starving." Rodriguez was deep in study of the alien technology. She had connected her diagnostic equipment to several of the crystal formations and was analyzing the data. "Captain, this is amazing. Their entire ship runs on harmonic resonance. The crystals create specific sound frequencies that generate power, communication, and even propulsion. Can you fix it?" Sullivan asked. Rodriguez shook her head. "Not easily. The main resonance chamber is completely destroyed. It would be like trying to rebuild a warp core from scratch. But with technology, I do not understand." Captain Crystal had been listening to the conversation with growing understanding. She approached Dr. Peterson and began a long, complex musical explanation. Peterson tried to follow along, occasionally asking for clarification. "She says their people have been space travelers for 10,000 years, Peterson translated. They explore the galaxy, study stars and planets, and share knowledge with other peaceful species. But they have never encountered a species like humans before." "What makes us different?" Sullivan asked. Peterson listened to Captain Crystal's response. "She says most species they meet are either very old and wise, or very young and primitive. Humans are different because we are young but very adaptable. She says we solve problems in ways the Villani have never seen. Over the next several hours, the two species worked together to understand each other. The Villani were amazed by human technology, especially the way humans used electricity and electromagnetic fields. The humans were fascinated by the Villani use of harmonic resonance and their ability to grow technology like living things. Dr. Santos made a breakthrough in communication by creating a translation device that could convert human speech into Villani musical patterns, and vice versa. The device was crude, but it allowed for more complex conversations. "Your people are very creative," Captain Crystal said through the translator, her musical voice now converted 2 words. "We have studied thousands of species, but none that combine logic and imagination the way humans do." "Your people are incredible too," Sullivan replied. "The way you use sound and vibration to create technology is beyond anything we have imagined." As the communication improved, the cultural exchange began in earnest. The Villani showed the humans their star charts, which contained information about thousands of worlds and hundreds of species. The humans shared their own knowledge of technology, art, and human culture. "Your music is very different from ours," observed Kefmau, the Villani science officer. "Our music carries information and serves practical purposes. Your music seems to exist only to create emotion and beauty." "Music is one of our greatest art forms," explained Dr. Peterson. "We use it to express feelings, tell stories, and bring people together." The Villani were fascinated by the concept of art for art's sake. Their culture was focused on practical knowledge and efficient communication. The idea that humans created things simply because they were beautiful was completely new to them. "You paint pictures that serve no function except to be looked at?" asked Velthara, the Villani engineer. "That is right," Rodriguez laughed. "We create art, music, literature, and sculpture just because we enjoy it. It makes life more interesting." The Villani found this concept amazing. They began to understand that human creativity was not just about solving problems, it was about finding new ways to experience the universe. Meanwhile, Rodriguez had been working on the damaged resonance chamber. She could not repair the alien technology directly, but she had an idea. "Captain, what if we do not try to fix their system? What if we create a hybrid system that combines human and Villani technology?" "Explain," Sullivan said. "The Villani use harmonic resonance to generate power. We use electromagnetic fields. Both are forms of energy manipulation. If I can create a device that converts our electromagnetic energy into harmonic patterns, we might be able to power their ship." Captain Crystal was intrigued by this idea. "In all our history, we have never tried to combine technologies from different species. It might be possible." Rodriguez and Velthara began working together on the hybrid system. The Villani engineer was amazed by human tools and techniques, while Rodriguez was fascinated by the elegant simplicity of Villani technology. "You build things so differently," Velthara observed. "Your machines are built from separate parts that work together. Our technology grows as single integrated systems. That is why we might be able to help each other," Rodriguez replied. "Your integrated systems are more efficient, but our modular approach is more adaptable. We can modify and repair things quickly." As they worked, Dr. Clark made another important discovery. The weakened Villani crew members were not just low on energy. They were missing specific minerals that their crystal bodies needed to maintain their structure. The ship's food synthesizers had been unable to process the required elements from their emergency supplies. "This is something I can fix," Dr. Clark announced. "Our industrial replicators can produce the minerals you need. We just need to modify the output to match your biological requirements." Captain Crystal was amazed. "You can create the elements we need to survive." "Yes, but we need to understand exactly what your bodies require. Can you show us your medical records?" The Villani medical data was stored in crystal formations that sang with information. Dr. Clark and the Villani medical officer, Yathera, worked together to translate the biological data into terms that human medical equipment could understand. Your bodies are incredible, Dr. Clark said as he studied the data. You are living crystals, but you grow and change like biological organisms. You are both mineral and alive at the same time. Your bodies are equally amazing to us, yet, replied. You are made of soft organic matter, but you are incredibly resilient. You can survive in environments that would destroy most crystalline beings. As the two medical officers worked together, they discovered that despite their completely different biology, both species faced similar challenges. Both needed energy, both required specific nutrients, and both could suffer from disease and injury. The collaboration between the two species was producing remarkable results. Rodriguez and Valthera had successfully created a prototype hybrid power system. Dr. Clark and Yathera had developed a treatment program for the weakened Valani crew members. Dr. Peterson and Kefmel had created a comprehensive translation system that allowed for complex technical discussions. But the most important discovery was the friendship that was developing between the two species. Despite their completely different biology and culture, humans and Valani found that they shared similar values. Both species were curious about the universe. Both valued knowledge and peaceful exploration. Both believed that cooperation was better than conflict. We have been alone in the galaxy for so long, Captain Crystal said during one of their long conversations. We have met many species, but most are either too primitive to communicate with, or too advanced to be interested in us. We have never found a species that could be true partners. We have been alone too, Sullivan replied. Humans have always wondered if we were the only intelligent species in the galaxy. Finding you has shown us that we are not alone, and that the universe is full of possibilities we never imagined. As the repairs continued, both crews realized that something historic was happening. This was not just a rescue mission, it was the beginning of a partnership that could change the future of both species. The Valani had knowledge of thousands of worlds and ancient wisdom about the galaxy. The humans had adaptability, creativity, and a drive to explore that complemented Valani, patience, and wisdom. We should return to your Earth together, Captain Crystal suggested. Our people should meet your people. We have much to learn from each other. Sullivan agreed immediately. Yes, but first we need to get your ship running again. We have work to do. As the two species worked side by side, the silent void around them seemed less empty and more full of potential. The Harmony's edge was coming back to life, powered by a combination of human ingenuity and Valani wisdom. The first alliance between humans and aliens was taking shape, built on mutual respect and the simple desire to help each other. The universe was about to become a much more interesting place. The hybrid power system was working better than anyone had expected. Rodriguez and Valthara had spent 3 days creating a device that could convert the Defiance electromagnetic energy into harmonic frequencies that the Valani ship could use. The prototype was crude, but functional, and it was keeping the Harmony's edge alive. Power levels are stable, Valthera reported, her musical voice now clear through the translation system. The energy conversion is running at 78% efficiency. Much better than our emergency systems. Rodriguez wiped sweat from her forehead and smiled. Not bad for something we built with spare parts and crystal fragments. But this is just temporary. We need to build a proper resonance chamber if you want to travel between stars again. Captain Crystal entered the engineering section where the two engineers were working. Her crystal body was glowing brighter than it had in months, and her movements created beautiful harmonies as she walked. The medical treatment is working, she announced. Dr. Clark's mineral supplements have restored 3 of our crew members to full health. The others are improving rapidly. Dr. Clark had been working around the clock to help the weakened Valani crew, using the Defiance industrial replicators. He had created specific mineral compounds that the Valani needed to maintain their crystal body structure. The treatment was simple but effective. The aliens just needed the right nutrients to repair themselves. Your bodies are remarkable, Dr. Clark told Yathera, the Vellani medical officer. Once you get the minerals you need, you heal much faster than humans do. Your crystal structure can repair itself if it has the right materials. Your medical knowledge is very advanced, Yathera replied. You understand biological systems that are completely different from your own. This shows great intelligence and adaptability. Meanwhile, Dr. Peterson and Kefmel were working on a project that excited both of them. They were creating a universal translation protocol that could work with any species that used mathematical concepts. The key is mathematics, Dr. Peterson explained to Captain Sullivan. Mathematics is universal. 1 + 1 = 2 for humans, Vellani, and any other intelligent species. If we can create a system that uses mathematical concepts to build communication, we can talk to anyone. Kefmel was equally enthusiastic. This translation system could change everything. For the first time, different species could communicate complex ideas without years of study. It would make the galaxy much smaller and more connected. The cultural exchange continued as both crews shared knowledge and experiences. The Vellani were amazed by human art, music, and literature. The humans were fascinated by Vellani philosophy, their deep understanding of physics, and their long experience with space travel. Your species is very young, observed Nathana, the Vellani communications officer. But you have accomplished in a few thousand years what takes most species tens of thousands of years to learn. What do you mean? Asked communications officer Lisa Morgan. You have learned to work together, despite your differences. Most young species spend thousands of years fighting wars and competing for resources. But humans seem to understand that cooperation is more powerful than conflict. Morgan laughed. We have fought plenty of wars. We are not naturally peaceful like you are. That is exactly my point, Nathana replied. You have learned to overcome your natural tendencies. That is much harder than being naturally peaceful. It shows great wisdom. As the repairs continued, both crews realized that they were creating something unprecedented. The hybrid technology they were developing was not just a temporary fix. It was a new way of combining different approaches to solve problems. Look at this, Rodriguez said, showing Captain Sullivan the latest sensor readings. The hybrid system is not just converting energy, it is creating new harmonic patterns that neither species could create alone. We are making something completely new. Sullivan studied the data with interest. What does this mean? It means that when different species work together, they can create solutions that neither could develop alone. Human creativity plus Vellani wisdom equals something greater than the sum of its parts. Captain Crystal was equally impressed with the results. We have been space travelers for 10,000 years, but we have never tried to combine our technology with another species. We always thought our way was the only way. Maybe that is why humans and Vellani work so well together, Sullivan suggested. We are both curious, but we approach problems differently. You are patient and methodical. We are quick and adaptable. Together, we can solve problems that would be impossible for either species alone. The proof of this cooperation came when they encountered an unexpected problem. The Harmony's Edge's navigation systems had been damaged in the same magnetic storm that destroyed the engines. The ship's star charts were corrupted, and the crew had no idea how to find their way home. We are lost, Captain Crystal admitted sadly. Even if we repair the ship, we do not know which direction to go. Our navigation crystals were destroyed, and we cannot recreate the star charts without them. This was a problem that neither species could solve alone. The Vellani had the knowledge of where they wanted to go, but no way to navigate there. The humans had excellent navigation technology, but no knowledge of Vellani space. We need to work together, Dr. Peterson suggested. Your people know the star patterns and landmarks in your region of space. Our computers can calculate navigation, Roots. If we combine your knowledge with our technology, we can create a new navigation system. The solution required both crews to work together in ways they had never tried before. Vallani scientists shared their knowledge of star patterns, gravitational fields, and space landmarks. Human navigators used this information to create new star charts that their computers could use. "This is amazing," said Navigation Officer Pete Davis as he studied the combined star charts. "Your people have mapped sections of the galaxy that we never knew existed, and you have found navigation routes that are much more efficient than ours." Kef was equally impressed with human navigation technology. "Your computers can calculate routes in seconds that would take our best navigators days to plan, and your sensors can detect hazards that we would miss." The collaboration produced results that surprised everyone. The new navigation system was more accurate and efficient than anything either species had developed alone. It could find routes through space that were faster and safer than traditional methods. "We have created something remarkable, Captain," Crystal said, as she reviewed the new navigation data. "This system could revolutionize space travel for both our species." But the most important discovery was not technological, it was cultural. As the two crews worked together, they began to understand each other's strengths and weaknesses. The Vallani learned that human creativity and adaptability could solve problems that traditional methods could not handle. The humans learned that Vallani patience and wisdom could prevent mistakes and find elegant solutions. "Your people think very differently than we do," Valthara told Rodriguez. "When we encounter a problem, we study it carefully and find the most efficient solution. When you encounter a problem, you try many different approaches until you find one that works." "Both approaches have value," Rodriguez replied. "Your method prevents mistakes and finds the best solution. Our method is faster and can handle unexpected situations. Together, we can be both efficient and adaptable." The partnership between the two species was creating something that neither could achieve alone. The hybrid technology they were developing was just the beginning. They were learning to combine their different approaches to problem solving in ways that made both species stronger. "We should formalize this partnership," Captain Crystal suggested during one of their planning meetings. "Our species could help each other explore the galaxy, share knowledge, and solve problems that are too difficult for either species alone." Sullivan agreed immediately. "Yes, but we need to be careful. Both our species have governments and military forces that might not understand what we are trying to do. We need to present this partnership as beneficial to both sides." "What do you mean?" Captain Crystal asked. "Some humans might see your advanced technology and think it could be used as a weapon. Some Vallani might see human adaptability and think it could be dangerous. We need to show both sides that this partnership is about exploration and knowledge, not conflict." Captain Crystal understood the concern. "You are right. We have encountered species before that wanted to use our technology for war. We will need to be careful about how we present this alliance." As the repairs neared completion, both crews began to plan for the future. The Harmony's Edge was almost ready to travel again, powered by the hybrid system that combined human and Vallani technology. The navigation systems were working better than ever, using the combined knowledge of both species. But more importantly, the two crews had become friends. They had learned to work together, to trust each other, and to combine their different strengths. The partnership they had created was about more than just technology. It was about two species learning to understand and respect each other. "We are ready to travel," Valthara announced. "The hybrid power system is stable, and all ship systems are functioning normally. Navigation is ready too," reported Pete Davis. "We have plotted a course to Earth that will take us through safe space. The journey will take about 2 weeks." Captain Crystal looked around the bridge of her ship, which was now glowing with light and humming with the harmonies of healthy technology. For the first time in months, the Harmony's Edge is truly alive again. But more than that, We have found something we never expected, partners who can help us become better than we ever were alone. Sullivan smiled. We have learned the same thing. This partnership is just the beginning. When we reach Earth, we will show both our species what we can accomplish together. As the two ships prepared to leave the Kepler 442 system, the void around them no longer seemed empty and silent. It was full of possibilities, full of the potential for cooperation and friendship between different species. The universe was about to become a much more connected place, and it all started with one species helping another when they needed it most. The journey to Earth would be the first test of their new partnership, but both crews were confident that they could face whatever challenges lay ahead. They had learned that working together made them stronger, and that the universe was full of wonders, waiting to be discovered by those brave enough to reach out to each other. The two ships had been traveling together for 12 days when the trouble began. The USS Defiant and the Harmony's Edge were moving through the outer regions of human space, following the course that Pete Davis had plotted using the combined navigation system. Lieutenant Commander Ben Carter was monitoring long-range sensors when he detected something that made his blood run cold. Captain, I have 3 ships approaching fast from the Rigel sector. They are not broadcasting any identification codes. Captain Sullivan hurried to the sensor station. What can you tell me about them? They are heavily armed warships, about the size of our heavy cruisers. Their design does not match any known human or alien vessels in our databases. They are moving in attack formation and will intercept us in 20 minutes. Sullivan immediately contacted the Harmony's Edge. Captain Crystal, we have company. 3 unknown warships are approaching. Are they friendly? Captain Crystal's musical voice came through the communication system, but now it carried fear. No, they are not friendly. Those are Theckener ships. They are the raiders who have been attacking our people for decades. What do they want? Sullivan asked. They want to capture our ship and steal our technology. The Theckener are a warrior species that survives by taking what they want from others. They have been hunting Vellani ships for years. Sullivan felt his jaw tighten. He had served in the human military for 20 years, and he knew the look of predators when he saw them. How dangerous are they? Very dangerous, Captain Crystal replied. They have superior weapons and armor. Vellani ships are not built for fighting. We have always run from them, or surrendered, when we could not escape. Well, today, they are not just facing a Vellani ship, Sullivan said grimly. They are facing a human ship too, and humans do not surrender easily. The 3 ships were massive, dark vessels bristling with weapons. They looked like they were built for one purpose: war. As they approached, they began broadcasting in their harsh, guttural language. Dr. Peterson quickly ran the transmission through the universal translator. They are demanding that both ships surrender immediately. They say they will take the Vellani ship and destroy the human ship as a warning to other species. Like hell they will, Sullivan muttered. Red alert. All hands to battle stations. Shields up, weapons ready. The Defiant was a exploration vessel, but it was still a military ship. It had shields, phasers, and photon torpedoes. It was built to defend itself and to protect human interests in space. Captain called Security Chief Kate Williams. The Theckener ships are powering up their weapons. They are targeting both our ships. Sullivan opened a channel to the Harmony's Edge. Captain Crystal, can your ship fight? We have some defensive systems, but nothing like human weapons. The Theckener ships are much more powerful than we are. Then we fight together, Sullivan said. Our ships will protect each other. Can you enhance our shields with your harmonic technology? Captain Crystal was quiet for a moment, then her voice came back stronger. Yes, I think we can do that. Valthara, can you connect our harmonic generators to the human ship's shield systems? I will try, the Vellani engineer replied, but we have never attempted anything like this before. Today we try many things for the first time, Sullivan said. Rodriguez, work with Valthera, to create a combined defense system. We have maybe 15 minutes before they attack. The next few minutes were frantic as both crews worked to prepare for battle. Rodriguez and Valthara created connections between the two ships' systems, allowing Villani harmonic technology to strengthen human shields. Dr. Peterson and Kafmel worked to coordinate the ship's sensors and targeting systems. Combined shields are online, Rodriguez reported. The Villani harmonic generators are creating interference patterns that should make their weapons less effective. Excellent, Sullivan said. What about weapons? We can link our targeting systems, Williams reported. The Villani sensors can track targets more accurately than ours. If we combine their sensors with our weapons, we should be more effective. The three Thickener ships approached in a triangle formation, clearly planning to surround and destroy both vessels. The lead ship was larger than the others, with massive weapons arrays and heavy armor plating. Incoming transmission, Peterson announced. The Thickener commander wants to speak with us. Put him on screen, Sullivan ordered. The face that appeared on the main screen was nightmare fuel. The Thickener commander had gray, reptilian skin and yellow eyes that held no warmth or mercy. His mouth was filled with sharp teeth, and his voice sounded like grinding metal. I am War Leader Scarth, of the Thickener fleet, the alien snarled. You will surrender the crystal ship immediately. Your pathetic human vessel will be destroyed as punishment for interfering with Thickener business. Sullivan stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. This is Captain Jake Sullivan of the USS Defiant. The Villani ship is under our protection. Turn around and leave this system immediately. Scarth laughed, a horrible sound like breaking glass. You think one small human ship can stop 3 Thickener warriors? Your species is young and foolish. You will learn the price of defying the Thickener. We will see about that, Sullivan replied, then cut the transmission. All ships, prepare for battle. The Thickener ships attacked immediately, firing massive energy beams at both vessels. The combined shields held, but the impact was tremendous. The Defiant shook under the assault, and several systems overloaded. Shields down to 60%, Williams reported. The harmonic interference is working, but their weapons are still very powerful. Return fire, Sullivan ordered. Target the lead ship. The Defiant's phasers and photon torpedoes struck the Thickener flagship, but the enemy's armor was thick, and their shields were strong. The weapons did damage, but not enough to stop the ship. Captain, Peterson called out, the Villani ship is trying something. Their harmonic generators are creating some kind of focused beam. On the screen, the Harmony's edge was glowing brighter than ever before. The crystal ship was channeling all its power into a concentrated harmonic beam that struck the second Thickener ship. Where the beam hit, the enemy ship's armor began to crack and split. Incredible, Rodriguez said. They are using sound waves to break apart the molecular structure of the enemy armor. Can we coordinate our attacks? Sullivan asked. Yes, came Captain Crystal's voice over the communication system. We will weaken their armor with harmonic beams. You attack with conventional weapons, where we have created weak points. The battle became a deadly dance of coordination. The Harmony's edge would target an enemy ship with harmonic beams, creating cracks and weak points in the armor. The Defiant would then strike those weak points with phasers and torpedoes, causing massive damage. The Thickener had never faced this kind of coordinated attack. They were used to fighting single ships that used conventional weapons. The combination of Villani harmonic technology and human military tactics was something completely new. The second ship is losing power, Williams reported. Their engines are failing. Press the attack, Sullivan ordered. Focus on the flagship. The battle raged for almost an hour. The Thickener ships were powerful and well armed, but they could not handle the combined assault of both allied vessels. The harmonic beams disrupted their systems and weakened their armor, while human weapons delivered devastating attacks to the vulnerable points. Finally, the Thickener flagship began to retreat. War Leader Scarth's face appeared on the screen again, but now he looked angry and confused, rather than confident. "This is not over, humans," he snarled. "The Theckener will remember this insult. We will return with more ships. We will be ready," Sullivan replied calmly. "And next time, we will not be alone. Other species are learning to work together too. Your days of preying on peaceful explorers are numbered." The 3 Theckener ships fled the system, leaving the Defiant and Harmony's Edge, victorious, but damaged. Both ships had taken hits, but the combined defense systems had kept them intact. "Damage report," Sullivan called out. "Shields are offline, but we can repair them," Rodriguez reported. "The harmonic enhancement system performed better than expected. We took much less damage than we should have." Captain Crystal's voice came over the communication system, filled with amazement. "We have never won a battle against the before. Our ships always had to run or surrender. But working together, we defeated them. That is what happens when different species combine their strengths," Sullivan said. "Your harmonic technology and our military tactics created something that neither of us could achieve alone." The rest of the journey to Earth passed without incident. The 2 ships worked together to repair their battle damage and to improve their combined systems. The victory over the Theckener had proven that the partnership between humans and Villani was more than just friendship. It was a powerful alliance that could defend both species. When they finally reached Earth, the arrival caused a sensation. Humanity's first contact with an alien species was broadcast live across the planet. The beautiful crystal ship accompanying the Defiant was unlike anything anyone had imagined. The diplomatic meetings that followed were intense but successful. The Villani were welcomed as honored guests, and the alliance between the 2 species was formalized. Both governments agreed to share technology, knowledge, and resources for peaceful exploration. But the most important result was not political. It was personal. The crews of both ships had become friends and partners. They had learned to trust each other, to work together, and to combine their different strengths. 6 months later, the first joint human-Villani exploration mission launched from Earth. The new ships used hybrid technology that combined the best of both species' abilities. The crews were mixed. With humans and Villani working side by side, Captain Sullivan stood on the bridge of the USS Harmony, the first ship built using combined human and Villani technology. Beside him, Captain Crystal served as his first officer, her crystal form glowing with the harmonies of a healthy ship. "Where to first, Captain?" Crystal asked. Sullivan smiled as he looked at the star charts that showed thousands of worlds waiting to be explored. "There are so many places we have never been, so many species we have never met. The universe is full of wonders waiting to be discovered, and we will discover them together," Crystal replied. "The silence of the void has been broken forever. From now on, the galaxy will be filled with the songs of cooperation and friendship." As the USS Harmony jumped to hyperspace, followed by a fleet of ships crewed by both species, the universe seemed smaller and more connected than ever before. The alliance that had begun with a simple rescue mission had grown into something that would change the galaxy forever. Children on Earth learned songs in Villani harmonic patterns. Young Villani on their crystal homeworld studied human art and literature. The 2 species had found something precious in the vast emptiness of space. They had found each other. The void was no longer silent. It was filled with the sound of 2 species working together to build a better future for all the peaceful beings in the galaxy. And it had all started when one species decided to help another when they needed it most. The universe was no longer empty. It was full of hope, cooperation, and the promise of wonders yet to be discovered by those brave enough to reach out to each other across the darkness of space.